perched high in the Bavarian Alps, this iconic landmark looks like something straight out of a fairy tale. LEGO has now recreated its breathtaking setting, intricate architecture, and plenty of clever detail, along with a few that might leave you wishing for more. Today, we are taking a closer look at the world-famous Neuschwanstein Castle. If you are new here, hi, my name is Lucas, and thank you so much for tuning in, and a big welcome to everyone watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time to join the community. And if you would like to support the channel, please consider using my affiliate links, as it really helps and I truly appreciate it. Thank you. Now, let's get into the set itself. The castle itself is one of the most famous in the world. You will probably recognize it as the inspiration for Disney's Fairytale castle. That said, I'm not entirely convinced if it belongs in the LEGO architecture theme. Speaking as an architect, I have always seen Neuschwanstein as more kitsch than architectural masterpiece. I'm curious, are there any fellow architects who feel the same way? But let's shift to a more positive note. Starting at the base, as always with LEGO architecture sets, we have the signature sleek black foundation. The nameplate tile is here too, this time printed only in English. And speaking of printed elements, there are a lot. In fact, I am not sure if I have ever seen this many printed pieces in a single LEGO set. All of the windows are printed in several different styles and colors, which really adds variety and detail. That said, I did notice a minor issue. Some of the prints weren't perfectly centered on their tiles. Before we get into the castle itself, let's start with the base. Part of what makes this castle so iconic is its storybook setting in the Bavarian Alps, and LEGO has done a wonderful job capturing that atmosphere. The rocky, subdued landscape rises from a glossy black base, with grays and tans in the terrain contrasting beautifully against the crisp white walls of the castle. Cluster of trees add burns of green, especially on one side, where they are more densely packed. If you have seen the real castle, you might recognize the carved approach paths in the terrain. One little detail that does bug me is the slight misalignment of some slope tiles. The trees scattered across the landscape come in two seasonal options, a lush summer look or a warm autumnal palette. I personally prefer the autumnal version. It feels full and vibrant, unlike the Himachi Castle set, where only a few trees showed seasonal color. Before you close up the model, you will notice that the entire rocky base is hollow, a perfect spot for a hidden treasure or playful surprise, which sadly LEGO didn't include. Now, let's move on to the castle itself. And I will be perfectly honest with you, I have slightly mixed feelings about it. As I mentioned earlier, the steep path leading to the castle guides you straight to the gatehouse, one of the few parts of the model that isn't white. The towers, built with some techniques, are topped with charming bartizans, while rows of printed 1x1 tiles serve as windows. Lining them up requires a bit of patience, but the end result is worth it. Stepping into the inner courtyard, there are some interesting part usage to suggest staircases leading to different sections of the castle. In the upper courtyard, you will notice a marked outline where the never-built central keep was originally planned to stand, as well as one of the leafy trees. Now onto the main body of the castle. Here you will notice a huge number of printed 1x1 tiles, and honestly, I think LEGO went a bit overboard. Personally, I would have preferred printed 1x1 bricks instead, as these tiles tend to stick out more than I would like. Another letdown is the lack of interior detail. Not only is the inside practically empty, but there's no way to access it. You are essentially building a beautiful shell with hollow spaces inside. It's especially disappointing when you compare it to something like Notre Dame set, which had gorgeous interior details despite limited accessibility. One of the few interior touches here is the grotto, from which a sliding glass door leads to the conservatory with its stunning alpine views. In this model, that's reduced to just a few transparent bricks. On a brighter note, I do appreciate how the castle slopes blend into the rocky base, giving it a more natural, grounded look. At the back, there is a section with a balcony that hides the throne room, one of the only interior rooms included. But again, once the build is finished, it's completely sealed off. Up on the roof, you will spot statues, spires, and even minifigure forks, cleverly repurposed as decorative elements. I also really like the small dormers, built with angled bricks, a subtle but charming touch. Some of the towers, however, don't quite match the real castle in terms of scale or color. A few of those 10 Technic pieces really should have been white, but since LEGO doesn't make them in that color, I suppose they didn't have any other choice. One detail I did enjoy was how an angled section of the castle stays visible for most of the build, only to be covered by a tower in one of the final steps. The process of building that tower felt more like assembling a spaceship rather than a castle, but it still looks good. If Neuschwanstein Castle had caught your eye, it retails for around $280 or 270 euros or 240 British pounds and contains 3,455 pieces. As you would expect for a LEGO architecture set, there are no minifigures included. Just so you know, this video isn't sponsored by the LEGO Group, but if you're thinking about picking up this set or any other set from the LEGO website, or anything at all from Amazon, I would be incredibly grateful if you use the affiliate links in the description. It's a small gesture that makes a big difference in helping me keep creating more content like this. Thank you. The instruction is completed with fascinating facts about the castle and detailed insights into its LEGO design. Throughout the booklet, you will also find the little tidbits about various features of the build, something that adds an extra layer of enjoyment to the process. Now, about the building experience, which I know many of you are curious about. For me, it was a mix of highs and lows. I really enjoyed constructing the rocky base. It felt creative and satisfying. But once I moved on to the castle itself, things got a little repetitive. Building all those tiny printed windows wasn't exactly my favorite part, though it still wasn't as tedious as Notre Dame. The final two bags focus on the trees, which also weren't the most exciting to build, but I do appreciate their inclusion, especially the autumnal option, which really elevates the final look. I also come across a few unusual building techniques that you don't typically see in LEGO sets. That said, the castle asymmetrical design does bring in some interesting techniques, with angled sections adding extra personality to the model. But the real question is, who is this set actually for? Personally, I am not convinced it belongs in the LEGO architecture lineup. While it is undeniably beautiful, I just don't see much architectural depth here. From a design perspective, it feels more like a display piece than a study in architecture. When I bought this set on launch day, late in the evening, the LEGO store staff told me I was the first person to purchase it, which makes me wonder how well it's going to sell. But this is just my take. What do you think? Are you planning to pick this one up? Or does it not quite hit the mark for you as well? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video and want to see more from LEGO Universe, don't forget to like, subscribe, and use those affiliate links if you're picking up any brick build models. Thanks again, and until next time, happy building!